Welcome to the Fantasy Formula Podcast, where we use fake money to buy real F1 teams to win imaginary points. I am Paul, that is Ben.
Hey.
And I am melancholy because of what went on at the Brazilian Grand Prix.
I get that. I'm gonna say I am fascinated just because I think the weekend in Brazil is I don't know. I think I might start using that as a euphemism, but
actually, you probably should. The weekend in Brazil.
The weekend in Brazil happens across every sport. There will be a baseball game where like a muskrat or a rabid squirrel will interrupt the game, and the players have to stand there while the groundskeepers chase down the squirrel, and everyone ends up cheering for the squirrel. And as a result, whatever momentum the team that's up to bat would have had, like maybe they were scoring some runs and then they just lose it because of that interruption, or in a football game. Any number, just a freak injury that immediately follows a miraculous play that just kind of makes everyone scratch their heads. There are parallels across all forms of sport, but man, today this weekend in Brazil, it was a rainy, like downpour.
They postponed. I've never seen it before. They postponed the qualifying. The rain was raining so bad they couldn't race on wet tires.
Yeah,
or whatever their logic was behind it, and they were just like, "No, we'll wait till tomorrow," which is 5:30 Eastern time in the morning here in the United States. I woke up for it.
Yeah,
but it was just ridiculous.
But I mean, but as you're watching it, you're seeing these cars with these insane like water rooster tails. It's like you're playing Wave Race 64, where but except the difference is that's a game about racing like jet skis, and these are 200 mile an hour plus cars just spinning out at every possible turn because there is no grip. You're hydroplaning everywhere you go. It's going to be just a last man standing style race,
and which benefits the fantasy teams because in some ways, because as soon as you are going with underdog drivers or whatever, it really mixes it up.
Oh, absolutely. This is the week where all the rules are out the window.
Yep.
Anything can happen. Anything will happen. And so skills be damned. Fastest car be damned.
Right.
It's all about who can survive this strange Waterworld scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, I should have had some Kevin Costner lines, just at the ready. I don't,
Well, we'll go ahead and jump into it. So I normally try and at least keep mental note. I try and keep pen and paper note of what happened and what we want to talk about.
Sure.
I gave up. I was just like, I'm just going to enjoy it because I also don't know what's going on. The announcers didn't know. It didn't even sound like the teams and the strategists really knew what was going to happen. So I'm going to refer to the F1 website and go at their if you go on to the app where you can play Fantasy F1, there is an area where you can go and do the play-by-play or the lap-by-lap recount. And at the top of that, they have 5, 6, 7 bullet points that basically sum up the important takeaways of every major event.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use those as my notes right
Great
now.
note. Grand Prix Cliff Notes. I love
Grand Prix Cliff Notes. So we're going to try and use it, and we'll see, just because I was, as soon as the fourth guy crashed in qualifying, spoiler alert, I was like, no, I'm not keeping track of this. This is getting way too depressing. And then when Carlos Sainz crashed, for the second time, I was like, no, it was Carlos Sainz. When Carlos Sainz crashed for the second time, I was like, man, I'm done doing this.
Oh no!
All right, here we go.
I mean, wait, even before that, you come through qualifying, and you look at the results. The top 5 are Lando Norris. Okay, this is normal.
Good for him.
All right, George Russell. All right, doing his thing. Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda.
Wait, what?
Esteban Ocon.
Wait, what?
Liam Lawson. And that's your top 5.
And that's your top 5.
So something's going to be
something happened.
Funky town.
I mean, good for them.
Oh, I mean, sure.
The word they used to use, getting there on merit, like the driver beat him on merit. How is VCARB in the top 5?
Right.
Something happened to Ferrari. Something happened to Mercedes. Something happened. But we'll get into all that. So this was a sprint weekend.
Yes.
Which meant there was just one practice, and then they rolled right into sprint qualifying. For the practice, K-Mag was sick. and they put Oliver Behrman in just to get the car qualified for the sprint.
Yeah.
And Kevin Magnussen never came back. So Ollie Behrman drove for him. As soon as you had Kevin Magnussen, as per the letter of the law, you took negative, it would be negative 20, negative 20, and negative 5. So you had negative 45 points.
Yeah.
I haven't gone and checked. We can check that here today.
That very well could have happened to me as well because I didn't do that great this week. I'll tell you what. We'll get to that
We'll
later.
get to that.
That's
going into the sprint qualifying. Championship rival Max Verstappen starts fourth. Eliminated in Q1 was Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Tsunoda. So there he goes. He was eliminated in Q1 in the sprint. Tsunoda, Stroll, and Zhou Guanyu. Eliminating Q2 was Hamilton, which was weird.
Yeah.
Hulkenberg, Perez, again, weird. Colapinto, and Bottas. So you had Perez and Hamilton who are already off their game at the start of Q.
Well, and that's exactly that's a fantastic point. You know, last time we had a heavy rain week. You know, of course, all the memes going around are like, you know, oh, all of the experienced drivers did well. Shocking. Anyway, you know, but here's the thing. That's completely out the window this week. That's again, it's just something was in the air.
And it was water.
Yeah, right.
Oh no.
Just there were no rules this weekend.
No, there really wasn't. So that was the sprint quali. So now we get into the sprint race. McLaren swapped drivers to give Norris the win. McLaren's actually playing the team game now and playing it so that Lando Norris can win the championship. Okay, Max Verstappen picked off Charles Leclerc for third place. Good for Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
And Nico Hulkenberg retired with a mechanical issue. So that was the sprint race. So now we're getting the qualifying. And this is where it gets disastrous. So they kept postponing the qualifying. And then finally they said, you know what, we're just going to officially can't delay it. And they pushed it back to the morning of the race. So now, again, all times are local to Eastern time here in the United States. 5:30 in the morning was when they qualified. And then the race started at, I think it was like 10:30 in the morning. With the pre-race starting at 9:30. Here's the body count. Franco Colapinto, Carlos Sainz, Alex Albon, Lance Stroll, and Fernando Alonso all crashed out during qualifying.
And these were severe crashes too. Alex Albon and then Lance Stroll, they did not race.
They didn't. Lance Stroll tried to, which I will be sure to heckle him for you at the start of the race because that was especially disastrous. Aston Martin pulled all-nighters in the 4 hours they had, bent over backwards to get their cars up.
Yep.
And yeah.
So if you're a newbie like me and you see on that race results, you know, you got DNF, which we're well familiar with now, as did not finish. There's a couple DNSs.
That was a new one for me.
Yeah, did not start.
We'll get to more of that for anybody who didn't watch the race. Eliminated in Q1 was Hamilton, Behrman, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, and Zhou Guanyu. Which Hamilton out in Q1 for the race.
Yeah,
like,
that's
what the hell, man.
Right.
Q2, Bottas, Verstappen, which we're going to talk a lot about him. Perez, Sainz, and Gasly. So both Red Bulls were out in Q2.
Which again, Perez, unfortunately, not a surprise.
No one was jumping up and down for that.
Valtteri Bottas in a Kick Sauber car beats Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
I mean, still Q2, but what?
And then Max Verstappen gets a 5-place grid drop for the race for taking on a new ICE, and I think ICE is a new internal combustion engine.
That's where it was because you know if you're looking at the Formula One app and you're looking at race results, you know, qualifying, he's listed as P12, but he actually started P17.
Oh, that would do it then. Yeah,
that makes sense because math.
Norris and Russell, cool, 1 and 2.
Yep.
Yuki Tsunoda qualified P3.
Yeah.
Now, good for Yuki Tsunoda, and good for Ocon, who qualified 4, and good for Lawson, who qualified 5. The issue with drivers qualifying better than they normally would is Yuki Tsunoda is not faster than Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri.
And in some cases, this principle is still correct, and I'm glad you're touching on it because I think this was a talking point of ours maybe 5 months ago, where it's what are things that as a Formula One fan are exciting, but as a fantasy Formula One fan are major red flags. Yeah. And when you have a lower level car like a V-carb car qualifying well isn't all that great because you're not going to be able to keep up generally with the big boys. And if you have a driver who's on the cheaper side, they're going to get their points in who they're able to pass, which is much more likely if they're way, 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 way lower on the grid. It's one of those, shoot for the moon, you may hit a star. But if you shoot for the ground, you can't miss. If you start with lower standards, you tend to do better with that caliber of driver and that caliber of vehicle. When the stars somehow align and you have a Yuki Tsunoda qualifying P3, hold on, it's not going to be pretty. You're going to lose points because you're starting high.
Zogan Yu starts 20th. Well, if he qualified 20th and he finishes the race, that means he pulls in P15.
Yeah,
which is
exactly what he did.
See, which means for Fantasy World, you get 1 point for every car you pass that's not going to the pits or crashed, and you get 1 point for every place on the grid that you finish higher. So Zogan Yu would get at least 5 points for just staying in the race,
which is great for what you're paying for him.
Now we get to the race, which makes me cry.
Well, I'll take the softball to start things. Max Verstappen won. So here's the wacky thing: like, dude started P17. It was just a cluster of a race. Comes back and wins it. Alpine double podiumed for the first time since I read the article and now it's slipping my mind. It's been a long time since that happened. It's well more than a decade.
How many points are they up to right now
from this race? Ocon got 18, Gasly got 15, and this is Formula One points, not fantasy points. Okay. I'll if you want to talk, I'll look that up here real quick.
Verstappen went from P17 to P16, so he got at least 16 points from that. He got the 25 points for winning, and every car he passed that wasn't in the pits, he got a point for. And then when he did go in the pits and he came out and he passed them again, he got another point for them. Without putting DRS boost on Max Verstappen got 77 published points in that race. Which means if you happen to DRS boost Max Verstappen,
which you would if you have him,
you got 154. If my public math is
just
right,
from
Max Verstappen. If you waited and used your 3x on him, then you got whatever 3 times 77 is, and as 3 times 7 is 201, 3 times 7 is 21. I call it 230 points.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like just from him alone. Did exactly what you want every driver in Fantasy F1 to do. You want them to start at the back of the pack, pass everybody, and win.
Alpine, following this weekend, has 49 total points. They got 33 this weekend alone, which means the entire season they had achieved 16 real Formula One points, which puts them ahead of Kick Sauber, okay, not a surprise, Williams, Baby RB, and Haas. They are now the best bad team below Aston Martin, which is such an inaccurate snapshot of the season thus far.
And if anybody's sitting here saying that that's wrong, that we shouldn't be saying that, because scoreboard, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they got the points. The points are the points.
The thing is, they needed literally intervention from the gods or from whoever the beings are that live in the puffy things in the sky and make rainfall.
Yeah.
Yes, did they perform where others didn't? Absolutely. I will never take that away from them.
Sure.
However, as soon as you're trying to bet on them, as soon as you're trying to plan on who's going to do well, you're literally betting on the weather. Nico Hülkenberg is on my team. Nico Hülkenberg got negative 42 points.
Oh, my Lord.
It's negative 25 for getting disqualified at the race and negative 20 for not being classified at the sprint.
I saw this on the highlights. He had crashed out. In order to get back on the road, crew members pushed him back out onto the track. So he received outside assistance before the car was able to continue, which is a direct breach of Article 53.2 of F1 sporting regulations displayed below. If you get pushed back out onto the track.
No kidding.
Yeah. You crash, people will rush to your aid, but there's a very strong, do not touch my car. I promise I'm fine. Let me see if I can back out and get back on the road. They pushed him off the barrier, and he was able to continue, but only because they helped him to get dislodged. This was the week. Don't feel bad if you did poorly. I think just about everyone did poorly. We did a quick fantasy profile on those who would have done well this week, and this is what it looks like. There are maybe those of you who said, I still want Max Verstappen on my team no matter what. You know, you spent 30 plus million on one driver, which means all you could afford was maybe Alpine, the drivers and the constructor. And if that was you, you have Max Verstappen, who of course you're going to DRS, and then you've got Alpine because it's all you can afford left. Like you've got Alpine and you've got Kick Sauber. If that's you, and I know you exist out there, congratulations. This was
It paid off.
This
It worked.
is the 1 week that it worked.
Yep. You've been waiting for it. You've been sitting here going, man, I don't want to get rid of Max Verstappen because I know he's going to do great. I don't want to get rid of Red Bull. I know they're going to do great. Oh, wait,
Right.
he got P5. Oh, wait, he got P10. Oh, wait, Perez can't do anything. Doesn't matter, man. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. I got Max. He's going to do great things. This week he did.
Yeah. So good job. I don't feel bad. I don't like this week, but I don't feel bad. You know, as long as we're not facing tsunami conditions next week.
The lessons of the previous races are still valid. It was literally a monsoon. Okay, not literally. It was figuratively a monsoon.
It was
a monsoon.
crazy.
I'm not a meteorologist.
Rain.
My cousin's a meteorologist. I know.
Is he really?
Yeah, he is. He's
Oh,
a
cool.
meteorologist for the Air Force.
Does he have like a weatherman name like Summer Rains?
Ooh,
or
you know, I
like
should ask him about that, Steve. I'm going to go talk to you about this. But like, and actually, he's been on other podcasts before. Like, he has friends who do podcasts.
Really?
We should get him on here now that we brought it up organically.
Yeah.
But no, like he was visiting and we were like out garage sailing, and we're like, man, I wonder if it looks like rain. He pulls out a weather radar. His weather radar app looks at it, and he's like, yeah, I'll be here in about 10 minutes, and I like to the minute. But it's going to be dry in Vegas. But don't count on the weather gods to help.
Right. If either driver from Mercedes wins, I'll be pleasantly surprised, not shocked. No. You know, if Oscar Piastri wins, I'll be pleasantly surprised, not shocked. If either driver from Ferrari wins, I won't be surprised. No. Yeah, on any given week, you've got a Grand Prix winner.
So I'm going to do a quick. I actually looked up how to do good segues.
Oh, cool.
You know, because I think my segues are horrible.
Hit me with one. Let's see what you got.
Like, speaking of drivers doing well, Lando Norris. There you go. Norris, Russell, Sonoda, and Lawson to be investigated after the race was over for start procedure infringement.
What is a formation? Do they not just start from a stop position?
They do. So how this works is this. You're in your pits, you pull out, you drive around, you all line up on the starting grid.
Yes.
Turn off the cars, hop out of the cars.
Right.
Your teams come out with all your gear and tires wrapped in their little heat wraps. They take off your tires, jack your car up on stands, and hang out for about a half hour, 40 minutes. You have the national anthem. You have a bunch of pomp and circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Then they put on these new tires, and no one knows what tires you have on. Ooh, super secret.
Yeah.
And the safety car leads everybody on one lap.
Okay.
And that is for them to go do the whole back and forth thing to get heat in their tires, to check their engine modes, to do all of the stuff that they do to get ready for the race. And then they go back up to the grid, and the safety car that was in front kind of like pulls off somewhere. All the cars go forward, and it's up to the leader to find his spot on the grid. If I know I'm P3, I'm not allowed to pull up alongside the car in front of me during the formation lap.
Okay.
That car goes to his grid spot, and I go to the next one behind him. And it all works out just fine because nobody crashes on the formation lap. That has never happened. Who would crash on the formation lap? They're not racing. No one would do that. That is silly. They take off on the formation lap in the torrential rains.
Uh-huh.
Lance Stroll crashes on the formation lap.
Oh, Lance.
Alex Albon.
Yes.
He qualified, and then he crashed in qualifying, unable to race. So there is a hole in the grid where he is.
Oh, I see.
If you qualify
So
P15,
so people didn't just arbitrarily move up.
You don't just advance.
Oh, that's
Because
cool. I like
you
that.
You qualified P15. I qualified P16.
You can't take that away from me.
You can't take that away from you.
Yeah.
You're not racing, but it's still there. It's different if there's a grid penalty.
Yeah.
Then as soon as you get penalized, you go back, and everybody else moves up to make room for you to go back.
That's great. Hey, thank you for explaining that.
Absolutely.
I learned a thing today. This is good.
So they go and do the formation lap. Lance Stroll crashes. So now there's an extra hole in the grid.
Oh, so there's one hole that needs to be filled up.
There's one hole that's natural, No.
That you leave?
Another hole that's natural.
Oh, okay.
You just crashed if you're Lance Stroll. I'm behind you. I see you spin out. It's on me to leave a space in the grid
I got you.
ahead of me. They go to line up. Cars don't leave the gaps, and they fill up. So then race control, as this is happening, race control sees what's going on, suspend the start and tell them to go around again. There's two lights. There is one light that says, suspend the start, wait for us to tell you something. There's another light that says, go around and do another formation lap.
Okay.
As soon as they said, suspend the start, Lando Norris, he just went. They just all started, the whole front of the field just started driving.
Oh, no.
Without race control saying, go do it. They just
Sure.
said, suspend the start. They didn't say, do another formation lap. Like, they stopped the race, brought back out the crews.
Oh, no.
Jacked up the cars.
Yeah.
Pushed them to the right spots, did another formation lap, and started the race.
Gotcha.
It was insane.
Yeah,
Everybody freaking crashed. So that was the race. Yeah. Do not stress. Don't worry. If you had Alpine on your team, congratulations. Good job.
Take them off now.
Take them off now.
You got all the points you're going to get.
Yep. If you are like me and you went heavy into Ferrari,
keep your towel with you and don't panic. I don't know if this was more of a narrative journey or if there was a thesis somewhere in there, but the conclusion is don't panic. Don't touch your teams. This was not the week to base driver performance on.
All right. That's all I have. Do you have anything?
No, I just want to say thanks for joining us. Please consider giving us a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to. It really does help us out. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Cheers.